are you happy? Like, are you happy? Like, that is the only criterion by which you should be measuring yourself. Is like, am I happy, and am I doing things that are like investing in my happiness, right? That's the only thing that you should be comparing yourself. I don't even think you need to compare it to other people, but it's like that is your metric. Not what did I get done? Did I do something? Did I get outside? Did I do something for my body? Is am I happy? So today's going to be a bit of an interesting one. It's a topic that I'm pretty passionate about myself. We're going to be talking about productivity. And productivity has become such an important metric by which we define our lives and even ourselves. A lot of the times we define ourselves by how much we get done. We define other people by how much they get done and what they do. So productivity, I think, is something that's very much interwoven into our lives and in our days. So let's start this one like a bad speech with a definition, okay? So I'm gonna ask one of you, like, what do you like, unscripted? What do you think productivity means to you? And then the rest of us will comment on the extent to which we agree with that. Okay. So Matt, what does productivity mean to you, man?
Getting shit done.
Getting shit done. I mean, it's tough to refute, I'll be honest.
Pretty intuitive.
That, I guess, is the general sense of productivity. For sure getting shit done.
Getting shit done. So,
like, but in a sense, just saying it that way, getting his shit done is a little bit more blunt and just ties into, like not waiting. If you're going to do something, do it. Ooh. See it through to completion as you love. And yeah, like, I mean, it's pretty simple. Get shit done, Productivity sounds fucking kind of fancy and out there, but if you just put it as you have shit you need to do, you get it done as soon as you can.
So
that's
now,
productivity.
I'm going to comment. I'm going to jump in. I know this is a little premature, but I'm already going to jump in. But I think that's easy to say, but it becomes complex when I think everybody can agree we have so many things to get done. So it's a matter of what am I going to get done? Because if I were to get everything that I need to get done, I would not have a life to do anything else, really. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that high level, yes, I agree. It's important to get things done. But I think the challenge I think we all know that, right? But the challenge we all face is what do I get done and how, right?
And I feel like a big part of productivity, it's like a balance between like efficiency, it involves efficiency, but also like how well you're getting your shit done. Like just because you're getting it done doesn't mean it's done well. So I feel like it's balancing like, okay, how much time am I spending on this? And am I doing it as well as I can for the amount of time I'm spending on it? So like balancing those two things, because you can be efficient as fuck and not actually getting stuff done that, you might have to go redo it or whatever if it's not done well.
Curious.
So
how do you guys distinguish efficiency and productivity? Because I think they're seen as synonymous. I do think there's a distinction. What do you guys think?
I think there's a distinction, yeah.
So I wonder if I can wrap my head around it, because I've said it right before, but I'm so exhausted right now that I don't know if I'll be able to get it. Efficiency is doing the same, like tasks are fixed. The thing that you have to do is fixed, but doing that in a lesser amount of time, right? That would be efficiency. Nick and I both are doing the exact same thing. We're making We Are Well sweaters, and I do mine faster. I'm more efficient than Nick. However, productivity, I think, is the time is fixed now, and it's like, how much can I get done in that amount of time? And so that's the distinction that I make. What do you guys think?
I think I don't know exactly the difference in real definitions.
That's more of a personal.
And your personal. I think efficiency is just like, it's a very clear cut, like you said. Okay, here's a task. How efficiently can you get it done? What is the least amount of time you can get it done? Where productivity, for me, like in the productive area, is really like what I focus in. So you said is get shit done, and then you said productivity. You have a large amount of time. How much can you get done? Where for me, a big thing that comes into productivity is like, what are the things that you're getting done, and how much are they moving you forward in your life? Because if you're just working on something for 10 hours a day, it doesn't mean you're productive. Like efficiency, yes, that's maybe efficient. If that's something would have took 12 hours, you did in 10, that's efficient. But productive, to me, I don't think you're productive until you get a net benefit from your time spent. Ooh. That's when I think you're a productive person, is if you have a net benefit in your life after you've allocated your time around your responsibilities.
Can I make sure I understand? So now let's compare me and you again, because we're always competing on this dimension. I know it. But okay, so now productivity is getting shit done. And now we have the same amount of time, and in that amount of time, we both get 10 things done. Let's say that's way too many to get done in one day, but we both get 10 things done. But you have chosen more, things that move the needle. You know what I mean? And so your 10 things are actually going to get you closer to your goals than my 10 things, because I just did busy work, whereas you thought about the 10 things that you did.
You set aside time to see, okay, what things in my life are going to get me to the next area, and then you have a productive day. Like, I'll give you an example. So today, earlier in the afternoon, I went for, I would say, like a 25 to 30 minute walk, where I basically didn't do anything other than was outside enjoying nature, went for a walk. That technically, by definition, may not be a productive use of time. But in my definition, it is. The net benefit I got from that 25 minutes was that I felt reduced stress, my mind was clear, and when I went back to work, I knew what I should be doing, and not only did I do it,
I done did it.
Not only did I did that shit, but I also did it efficiently because my mind was clear, because I took that extra time. So some things like productivity, I think it doesn't always have to be like how much you get done in a day, because you can't always get everything done in the day, and at the end of the day, you're not going to feel great if you're just always doing things. So I think as productivity is, yes, you want to work smart. You want to know what's going to push the needle the most, and your example was perfect. If 10 things are not going to push the needle as much, don't spend 10 hours on them. If you're not getting a big net benefit from 10 hours of your time, which your time is a most finite resource. If that time is not giving you something valuable back, don't do it. It's not productive.
And that's like a big misconception I think people have in society, is like, we think productivity is like filling our day with things so we're busy and our time is being spent. But it's like, okay, exactly what you just said. Like, is this time, like, is this a valuable use of my time? Like, does this need my attention? That kind of thing. And I've mentioned this before, but I feel like people do glamorize the whole like burnt out, like, oh, I'm so busy today, like, oh, like I can't catch a break. And it's like people tend to like almost feel superior to others when they're more busy and more burnt out, because it's like the more burnt out I am, the harder I'm working, the better I'm doing. And it's like, that's really not how this works.
No.
Exactly what you said about taking a walk. Like, I think that's essential for people's productivity, is like taking breaks, and like not just like, I don't know, genuine breaks. Like, what's something you find joy in? What's something that like you feel rejuvenated and like refreshed coming back from? Like, that type of thing is really important to like do some self-reflection on, and not just like assume because you're busy and your schedule is filled that you're being productive, because it's just not. It's not how it works.
Oh man, there's so many things that I want to pick up. First is just like it's like this focus. I think there's an immense focus on productivity and taking time away, and like even the way we've been talking about it here, like it's like we're saying, oh, take a time away from work only to come back even more productive. It's like, why not just like take some time away because it's good? Like, pause for a second, slow down, and enjoy what you're doing. Do you know how many times I've had like catch myself like I'm walking from A to B and just like thinking about all these things that I could be doing, or thinking about our work and stuff? It's like, why? I have the privilege of being outside. I've got some time to myself. Like, why not just like enjoy this just to enjoy it, not because it's going to make me more productive and increase the amount of things I get done in the day. Do it just because like we're human beings, and I think we've lost sight of the fact that like we're so privileged to be able to, you know, enjoy this environment that we're in, and like we lose sight of that because of this focus on productivity.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I do think that there's certain situations in life where people do have a lot, and they are required to maybe sometimes it's harder to step away in certain life situations, right? So I think that is something to be mindful of. But either way, that the stepping away, I do think, to answer the question before, it does make you more productive, because as he was saying, you know, getting shit done, and then like your time is a resource. Time is actually the like only resource that's constantly being spent. No matter what, your time is always, you have less and less and less and less. So with that notion, like your return on time should be the most it can be. So if you're sitting there writing an essay, banging your head, right? In words, you're writing them, you're deleting them, you're writing them, you're deleting them. One, is it not only productive, it's also you're spending time on nothing, because no work's being produced, there's no product coming out of it. Whereas if you now would step away from the laptop, go get 25 minutes outside, that 25 minutes you lose in my opinion, is still productive because now you're reducing your stress, which is good for your body, which will be good for you in the long-term life. So now you're at least getting a like return on time. And when you come back, you will, that stress-freeness, when you go back to your laptop, that might transform into a written product. So that now you never had a lag time. You know, like that's one of the things about being productive is being able to say, okay, right now is not a productive time to work. Right now I'm not in the state where I will produce efficient results. As such, I should go do something with my time that I can come back. So you really, but again, this might be more so myself. Not everybody works the same, but I think productivity, you really need to know yourself and know, okay, this is a good time for me to go to work. I'm gonna crush a lot of shit out, or like, you know what, I've been at this for a little bit, like it's okay to go take some time away, and when I come back, I'll come back stronger for it.
And even with myself, I find I always like have these, like, life is a bunch of seasons, I think, right? Like we go through periods of change and whatever, and we kind of have to adapt to that as they come about. But I find it so crazy that like, I don't even know. It just seems to be like a constant lesson I have to learn is like, okay, taking time to go work out, taking time to make a healthy meal for myself is so fucking worth it. And it's like, do you ever go like a couple days without working out and you're like, oh, like I'll just go one more day, like it doesn't matter, and then you work out and you're like, wow, I feel so fucking good, why don't I do this every day? Like, why is it that like we fall into these like bad patterns of like not doing something when we know it's beneficial for us and our productivity? So I feel like I'm like constantly in this like cycle of like, okay, trying to like implement balance. And, like, it's just about, like, riding the wave of, like, okay, what's going to work for me? And sometimes things don't work all the time. Like, sometimes it is going to be a week of, like, not working out because you have a lot to do with, like, family or friends or, like, work, school, extracurriculars. And then other weeks you'll have less and you can do more on the health and wellness side of things. So I think it's, like, having a lot of, like, empathy for ourselves and being kind to ourselves and just, like, allowing ourselves to take the time that we need to be able to, like, fulfill our, like, personal needs while also being, I don't know, motivated to get shit done. Like at the end of the day, like it's a balance, I think.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Definitely a balance. You did say something, Nick. This is actually directed at you to some extent. So like, I think that like we've been talking about like time away from work and how that's still productive, right? And I think like we're still guilty of constantly calculating like, oh, like what do I need to be doing right now? And like, okay, I'm not working, like what do I need to do with my time right now? Like I need to spend time for myself and on my food and all these things, and what is the best time for that, which I think is still like very psychologically taxing. It's like, oh, I got this free time and like I still need to do things with it. And I think like there's so much value in just like pumping the brakes and being like, hey, like I don't have to do anything right now. Like I don't have to do anything at all. Like, what is my body telling me to do? Like, less of a mental, like, conscious calculation, and more just take a few deep breaths, chill, and do what your body is telling you to do. I don't think we listen to our bodies enough, and I think like these kind of like the what you were talking about before is like still another version, I guess, a more healthier version of this obsession over like productivity and like getting things done in a day, right? Like this walk, if you're doing it, just okay, like a walk is going to help me. Like, is that you telling yourself that, or is that not you just like if you're taking a step back and be like, you know what, a walk's gonna help me right now. But if I have a suspicion that you're like, oh, like I'm working so much, I need to get outside because that's going to clear my mind without actually like letting your like it's your brain.
I think we're all guilty of that.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty of it too.
For sure.
I know, but I think it's just like you said, society very early on in the conversation. It's just like society of like racing each other on who could get the most done, and whether that work is one dimension, and like you know. Like getting outside is one dimension, and like our sleep is one dimension, and what we eat is one dimension as well. And it's like, you know what, like stop competing. A frame of mind that I like to have, and Jeremy helped me figure this out, so shout out Jeremy Hoffman. He's got a few courses, and most incredible guy changed my life. So look him up on Instagram. But he really helped me come to this mindset where it's like, okay, I felt myself competing with people on a lot of those dimensions, just like I'm a very motivated, competitive person. And so that's kind of how I like saw how well I was doing. Like for myself was, okay, Like I've measured how well I was doing relative to other people, and it's just like, hey, Pat, stop comparing yourself on these dimensions of getting things done and all that. It's like, are you happy? Like, are you happy? Like, that is the only criterion by which you should be measuring yourself. Is like, am I happy, and am I doing things that are like investing in my happiness, right? That's the only thing that you should be comparing yourself. I don't even think you need to compare it to other people, but it's like that is your metric. Not what did I get done? Did I do something? Did I get outside? Did I do something for my body? Is am I happy? And if you're not, like, that's like, I honestly don't. We'll get into those kind of things later. Like, I think future podcasts we can talk about, you know, things that you can do to invest in your mind and your happiness, and even some productivity tips. But yeah, that was my 2 cents.
That's a lot to unravel. I do agree with what you said. It is still like a little bit psychologically unhealthy to like consciously calculate sort of how productive you're being on a day. And I actually, when you were speaking about before him, I was actually going to speak on that a little bit of like I have a problem for myself, and I think other people have it too, is that like you need to find the balance about like productivity and how you measure it, because a lot of times I know that like if I have by definition like an unproductive day, I'm less happy, and then I get down. Absolutely. I get down on myself, and I'm like, okay, my to-do list has like a couple unchecked things. I didn't meditate this morning.
To-do lists.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Blessing and a curse.
Blessing
We're gonna
and
get into
a curse
that
if you know how to use them. But that's another episode. But I do think you're correct, and I find myself weighing things a lot of like, okay, I can justify going to spend an hour outside because it will give me a net gain.
Exactly.
And that's something that you should just get outside because it's okay to take a break. And that's something I've been trying to work on. But I think it's this like definition of success, you know, again, like you're growing up and it's like you gotta work hard all the time to be successful, and you see, like you said, that like emulated at that like a gas like what's the word? Glorified lifestyle of just like working 14 hours a day and not sleeping, and then it's glorified. So you think like, if I ever want to be successful, I need to like model my life after that. So anything you do outside of that traditional model of success that we've been taught to follow is like you get down on yourself, and then it becomes a hindrance because it affects like your mental health. And then at that point, you can just never be as productive, because like you said, the criteria that matters is happiness. Internal. You know, one, just because we only have so much like time in the world, and happiness is going to dictate it. And you know, my mind for some reason again jumps back to the like conscious calculation of productivity. Yeah. But like, if you're happier, you will be more productive.
But then it's like, I feel like, again, like,
you can't get happy like that.
You can't get happy.
Like, be like, oh, if I'm happy, I'll be productive, and then I'll be happy, because then it turns into the cycle of like the cycle of like almost greed for productivity and like greed for happiness.
Yes.
It's like, hey, I need to be more productive, I'll be more happy. If I'm more happy, I'll be more productive, and it's like you're not gonna be either one, which is why like I've been trying to work on it so consciously, is to not tie in like, yes, productivity at the end of the day, like we have shit that we need to get done. There is things I can't just wake up tomorrow morning or maybe one day, but I like for the next 4 weeks I can't just wake up and do nothing every day. Life moves, time moves. The world's not gonna wait for you. Like at the end of the day, people are doing shit. If you're not, the world's moving and you're staying still. That's the truth at the end of the day.
Preach, my man.
That's the other thing is like, it needs to be like I think productivity, what I'm trying to work on, it needs to be like a part of your life and a part of what you look at. Mm-hmm. But you just really need to be like happy with your inner self and know that, okay, I'm going to have a bad day. Bad days happen. I can't be a machine every single day. It's just not possible.
Weak.
You know? Yeah, I know. And it's like, and that's the thing. And sometimes in my mind, I think like, hey, like I need to be a machine at all times. But like, you gotta look, I think, rather than judging like productivity on a day basis, you know, like where was I a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or how have my last 2 weeks been? Like, yeah, okay, I had a couple bad days here and there, but like at the end of the day, like I'm moving forward, right? And that little steps forward every day is like that will like a long journey starts with one step, right? Like there's gonna be a long road ahead of us. We're all young.
Poetry.
There's 60 years left in our lives. Like who knows what this is gonna look like? And I don't want to be one to look back and be like, like I work 14 hours a day, but like I'm not happy, and like I have nothing. Like I have success and material possessions to show for it, but $1 billion is not going to buy my 20s back.
No, absolutely
it's
not.
So
and
true.
It's like you did touch on an important point. It's like it's like productivity absolutely is important, man, because like the analogy you drew, absolutely, but it's getting rid of this idea that we need to be doing things all the time.
Yes.
And that's what I think we're kind of stuck on right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like bringing it back to society is like another societal problem. A lot of people tie their self-worth to like their busyness or productivity, and like
I was just about to say that was just about to say you can tie self-worth,
and that's
to
a
productivity.
big problem, a huge problem, and that's something I definitely experienced like during like the middle of the pandemic, was in the summer when there just really wasn't much to be doing. Like I was like my regular activities there, you could create things to do, read books. I wasn't, all right. I was in one, and I like didn't have work. I didn't have school. I was supposed to be traveling Europe. Didn't end up doing that. Anyway, so I had this big plan, like everyone else in the world. Didn't end up working out. I had so much time on my hands and not much to do with it. And like I remember always feeling so down on myself. Like I'm not as busy as I used to be. I'm not as productive as I used to be. When it's like, why am I tying like my self-worth and my own self-confidence to like external things that like. Why? Because life is so much more than like work and school. Life is intellectual, life is emotional, life is spiritual. Like there's so much more to life than just like work and school and being on a laptop grinding your day away. Like there's just so much more.
Again, like what I said before about what Nick said about productivity being the net gain, and that net gain doesn't necessarily have to be a tangible thing like a report or producing an actual object. Like, you could have a shitty day where nothing went your way, you didn't cross off your goals for that day, whatever went wrong. If you can still, at the end of that day, go to bed and be like, you know what? I'm happy. That's still a net gain. You know what I mean? And if you can just focus on that, it's like, shit didn't go my way, but I still had a good workout, or I went on a walk and the sunset was fucking sick. And I'm happy, and I got through the day, and tomorrow's another day. You know what I mean? That there in itself is a net gain and is productivity in a sense, and will contribute to your actual tangible productivity going forward. So,
dude,
that was great.
That
Music
is
to
like,
my fucking ears.
that is the mindset, man, because you're so right, and that's a good way to look at it, is if you wipe all of those other things away. You wipe away the productivity and all that. You have your shittiest day, all these, like, criteria that we use to evaluate how much we got done. You wipe all those away. Are you still happy at the end of that? So, if you're still listening, you're an absolute freaking rock star. Like, shout out to you. That's kind of, I don't like that I said that, but but no, you're a rock star for listening. We appreciate the support. I believe in one of our upcoming podcasts, like today we talked about productivity in theory, but we also, like, as young entrepreneurs, have come up with a lot of strategies and hacks on how to use your time better so that you can put in the work that you need to make tomorrow better, but still create some time to enjoy yourself today. So stay tuned for a future podcast. We'll dive into some of those things. That's a wrap.